Welcome back to the Biker Protocol channel. I'm Hollywood with Black Patch MC here in Las Vegas.
And I am Picasso with the Eagle Riders MC, also here in Las Vegas.
So why do we ride what we ride? That's a hot topic, almost as hot as politics sometimes.
Right.
I'm going to start with the Harley rider over
Oh
here.
my God! All right, so I am admittedly a new Harley rider. I bought these are both our bikes actually behind us. So I'm on the 2023 Road Glide. I absolutely love it. And this is my first Harley. So I came from riding a wide variety of bikes. I started when I was very young on small bikes. I think my first bike was a KZ1000 at Kawasaki. And then I kind of got out of riding. I had a V-Star for a while. Then I had a Honda VTX, which I love that bike. Simple, easy wrench bike. And so then I wanted something bigger. So I got into a Kawasaki Vulcan Voyager. I love the big touring aspect of it. I really enjoyed having the fixed fairing. That was like a big thing for me. I love that. Not a lot of people like that, but I love it. And so I had that bike for several years and just kind of rode it to a point where, it was getting harder and harder to find stuff for it. And, part of the frustration with owning a bike like that was there was a larger volume of people that own them. But, every time I come into a motorcycle rally and, I want to buy I'm just picking something random, a new seat, let's say, right? And, there's 30 vendors that sell the seats there. And I'm like, hey, do you have anything for this bike? And they go, well, we do back at the shop, but we don't have anything here,
I mean, I know
and it was
that
like, and it was,
well.
yeah, right, because you're on a Victory, which is similar, right? So, it was really frustrating with that. And so, but I love the bike, but I wanted something with a little bit more modern features on it and whatnot. So I kind of went from one extreme to the other, and I'm almost a little ashamed to admit I bought a Goldwing. My brother-in-law has been riding Goldwings forever, and he rides until the tires fall off, and he loves them. He swears by them. He's riding a little bit older models, but I think his current Goldwing, he's got over 250,000 miles on it. Oh yeah, no, he rides these things to death.
I mean, what do they call them? The couch on wheels, right?
Right, yeah.
So
I bought a new one, which was, I got a 2019 DCT, which was an automatic. I know I'm going to get the haters out there. I know, right? It was a DCT model, it was a dual clutch.
Wait, hold on, sorry.
Yeah.
How does that work? You don't shift?
You don't shift, I know. It was, it was, okay. I say in my motorcycle riding life, it was the worst decision I ever made.
Really? Okay.
By far. Oh yeah.
Right.
I had the bike, and it was really a ton of fun to ride. But the dual clutch was fun, and it made the bike ride like an absolute rocket ship. It was so unbelievably fast.
Yeah.
However, it was not a good touring bike. I think they were trying to make the bikes a little bit more fancy, a little bit more towards a younger market that they're trying to push into. And in their efforts to do that, they ruined all the things that make a Goldwing a Goldwing. So the storage on the bike was atrocious. It was half of what it was on my Kawasaki. I mean, it was ridiculous. My wife and I couldn't go anywhere and put a t-shirt and jeans, and we couldn't get a helmet in the trunk. It was just stupid. Yeah, it was a dumb design. Sorry to all the Goldwing people out there, and I know we're going to get some haters out there.
Tell us why you like your
Tell us why you like your Goldwing, because I really like to hear it. I did not like mine. I had the bike for less than a year, which is, I might be as a shock considering how much I spent on it. I hated it that much. And what wound up happening was I was in a minor accident with the bike. And so I was riding one night, we were coming around a curve, and there was an island in the road that I didn't see it. I looked down at my GPS, next thing you know, I'm flying off the bike, right?
Geez.
So I was going like 20 miles an hour, weren't going real fast, but got some road rash and a couple little minor injuries, nothing major.
Yeah.
It wasn't so bad to where they totaled the bike, so the insurance paid for it. But then I started thinking, I'm really just not liking this bike anymore. And one of the main issues I had with it was I felt very disconnected from the bike. The way the bars are attached to the front forks is not like it is on most motorcycles. So there's actually about, I would say, an 8-inch detachment. So when you turn the bars, you're not turning the forks. There's actually control bars.
Really?
So a lot of times you don't feel like I can maneuver the bike like I could on a conventional motorcycle. And so it got me thinking a little bit that maybe this accident was a cause for me not being able to adjust fast enough. So I started thinking maybe I need a new bike, right? And I was at a Harley dealership one day, and most of the guys in our club ride Harleys, right? Yeah, right. And totally. I was a sucker for. They saw me coming a mile away, right? So I'm in there, and somebody from our club had to get something completely unrelated to anything, and I'm sitting there, and the next thing you know, I'm looking at a bike. I'm like, wow, that is just I love the way Harley paints bikes, and I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, holy cow! And they're like, well, you want to get on a test ride? I'm like, sure. Next thing you know, I'm signing papers. Right?
Yeah.
So I got in. That's how they get you, right? So I took the bike for a ride. It turns out I'm also a big hockey fan, right? And we're here in Las Vegas, so I go to the Golden Knights games a lot. And you know, it didn't help the fact that it's painted in the same colors, right? They saw me coming. I had sucker written on my forehead, I guarantee. But you know, I mean, here's the thing. For years, I pushed back on Harley. I don't know why I did. I just did. You know, I think probably price was a little bit of it. You know, I was used to buying bikes in the, you know, in the used market in the 15 to 20,000 range and whatnot, right? And you know, so I was comfortable in that. And you know, when I spent the money on the Goldwing, you know, that was a big price leap. So I got comfortable with that, and I started realizing the quality, definitely goes up.
Yeah.
But you know, I never really had anything against Harley. I never did. I know there are Harley haters out there. I never was one of those. I just, for whatever reason, never got one. And so, but when I took one for a ride, and I had ridden them before, and I never had ridden a road glide before. And as soon as I was on it, man, they were like, take it on the highway, do whatever you want. They weren't very restrictive on it. And I put a few miles on the bike on the test ride, and I fell in love with it instantly. I mean, I knew right then this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And so I've had the bike for about 8 months now, and I absolutely love it. I ride it every chance I can, except when it's like 120 degrees outside. The bike does get hot, man. I'll tell you, man. My right leg feels it more than any other bike.
Is that the water cooled?
Yeah, but it still runs really hot. It doesn't run hot when you're riding it, but when you're sitting at a light or something, oh man, that heat gets you. Yeah. And so you know, I've been on this bike for about 8 months now, and honestly, you know, for however long I'm going to keep this bike, which I hope to keep it for a considerable amount of time, I don't see buying anything other than Harley. I'm happy with the brand, unless something major changes in the motorcycle world. I'm not really brand loyal so much, but I can see myself being with this because I like the bike that much.
Yeah.
I like the way they set it up. I love the way it rides. You know, I love the way it sounds. I did a few modifications to it, like every Harley owner does, right? You know, I saw a meme recently. It's like I feel bad for the poor guy who makes the stock Harley pipes, right? Because it's like, you know, because it's like talking about a dead end job that goes on, right? But you know, because that was the first thing I changed on, right? I put new pipes on it. But you know, and I love the pipes I got. I think I bought them because I love the name.
Yeah.
They're Cobra brand, right? But they have the best name of pipes in the world. They're called Neighbor Haters. It's like they got a great name.
Neighbor Haters.
So yeah, it's great, right? So you know, so I've been into Harley for a while, and you know, not a long while, and I know that people have been, you know, diehard Harley fans, and that's fine too. But I kind of get it. I get how they ride. For American roads, they ride really, really good. I can't see riding this in Asia, right? But I can see riding this on open highways in the United States, and I've taken it on some longer trips. And you know, you open the bike up, and it's just wonderful. It rides great, feels great. My wife rides on the back; she likes it. You know, it's got all the creature comforts from, you know, the touch screen to great sound system, but it just rides really good. And I like riding heavier bikes now. And I'm kind of loyal to Harley. I know, I got to say, I really like it. But you are not a Harley guy. You know, you're on a Victory, which is...
Put the record straight. I'm not a Harley hater.
There you go. And that's kind of how I've always been. Yeah, and that's true. You're not. Yeah.
So like millennia ago, my buddy, when I was getting one of my first bikes, my first bike, my buddy was like, you should look into Victory. I was looking, like a lot of new riders was like, oh, I'm going to get a Sportster. And,
yeah, sure.
You know, best thing I did not do was, or you know, best mistake I didn't make was getting a Sportster. Not because it's a bad bike, but, you know, you hear, we have a few people in our club that have Sportsters in, you know, 90 miles to the tank,
they can't keep up. It's harder for them on longer rides. So
he said, you should, this is when Victory was still around, you should look into Victory, he said. Yeah. You'll get more engine for your money. I was like, never thought of it that way, right?
Sure.
So I ended up looking at this bike right here, and this is a Victory Vegas 8-ball. And I mean, Vegas kind of got me
perfect,
caught
right? Yeah,
I mean,
it's same thing with me with the color on mine.
So that kind of fit well, and I like the styling of it.
Yeah.
And so I started doing some research, and sure enough, this is a 106, 17 something 100.
Yeah, there's a lot of power on that bike. Yeah.
Versus the Harley, which is like an 883 1200, and I think at the time prices have definitely skewed. I mean, you know, sports. I think my buddy just bought one for like 20 grand or something like that.
Probably less than that, I think.
Yeah, somewhere on that range. It was a lot for what I thought, like for a Sportster 883, and this one I think I got. It was used. I think it had like 9,000 miles on it. I think I got it for like 10,000. I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, you already got
your
your money, your engine for your money.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely got my money's worth out of this bike, and I'm definitely one to get a good deal.
Yeah.
But I you know, from the moment I got it, it just felt comfortable. I've ridden Harleys, all kinds of Sportsters. I've actually never ridden a road glide though. I've never ridden a fixed variant, but the Street Glide, right? Is that the other?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Street Glide. I've ridden some Indians, and I always felt like I was like sitting on top of the bike. I never felt like I was in the bike, like a part of the bike. And when I got this, I mean, I don't know. I just felt like I was in the bike. It's kind of like you can stretch your feet out.
Yeah.
It's a really comfortable bike. Fast forward a couple years, I actually have. This is my third. Well, this was the first, but I have. I had two others. One was a cross. One was a bagger. It was a cross country, and that one I loved. I mean, I only put 50,000 miles on it because, long story short, right when I bought it, there was an engine manufacturer defect, got it replaced, and they convinced me to upgrade the engine. Pistons, cam, I'm like, well, hell yeah. Dynoed that thing, it had like 130 horsepower.
Holy cow,
it was
wow.
fast. I loved that bike. Leaving Sturgis, and well, it didn't like the heat, I'll tell you that.
Probably not, yeah.
It just took a beating here in Vegas, and this 1 year leaving Sturgis, the piston skirt blew off, stranded me in Spirit Lake, Iowa, where Victory coincidentally was created. So
right, you go wave to the factory, right? Yeah.
I always say I took Old Yeller home to die. but I liked it that much, I bought another one, actually, so I still have one. So yeah, I like that. So I like that bike so much, I actually bought another one when that one died. Went through this whole warranty issue. It wasn't, and let me, for the Victory haters or the Harley lovers, it was my fault. Don't screw with the stock engine, and your bike will last you forever.
Right.
So this new one, I haven't done anything with it, and it's slower, mind you. I'm not.
But I mean, you're not running races.
Yeah,
right? So
but
it's okay.
I'll tell you, when you load it up to go on a long trip, you can feel it going on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's a 106. It's the same motor as this one.
Yeah.
So you take one like this that's maybe 600 pounds or something, and then put, what is it, like 900 pounds, I think it is, same motor. You can feel the difference. But yeah, there's like a tradition for me, and it's not purposely. When I buy a bike, and the last Victories, for some reason I always end up in the middle of the desert off-roading with it. And that kind of sold me on it too.
They're pretty durable bikes, yeah.
I've taken this bike, I've taken the other bikes in places I probably should have never taken any kind of dresser touring bike, and it did great.
Well, and to clarify even, where we're shooting at this morning,
Yeah.
so, you can see that we have this beautiful Nevada desert behind us, right? But off in the distance, I don't want to point the camera, but off in the distance, the road we're on dead ends, and he was like, well, let's go out in the desert and ride around. And so I'm like, have you seen my bike? Like, I'm like, you go scout that out. And he went and took a look, and let's set
it
up.
was all blocked out.
It was all blocked out. But
yeah.
and to clarify too is, I remember, so my father-in-law has been riding motorcycles since long before I was born. And it was a diehard Harley guy, right? I mean, his last bike was a Screaming Eagle. Well, his second to last bike was a Screaming Eagle, and he liked that bike, but kind of had some power issues with it. He wasn't overly happy with, but it was a gorgeous bike, and he loved it. And he rode again, around the country with it, and did a lot of miles on that bike. My wife, when I first started riding again, it was great because she grew up riding in the back of motorcycles, so she knew both my in-laws both ride, and my mother-in-law was on a Harley too. So they were Harley people. And his last motorcycle he bought was your bike. It was actually a Victory, and he was a hard sell on that. Same thing. He kind of went and took it for a test ride, and he's like, "This is a lot of motorcycle." He bought it brand new, and he was like, "This is a lot of motorcycle for your buck." And he switched from riding Harleys for decades to a Victory, and he loved the bike. Absolutely fell in love with it. Rode thousands of miles on that thing, cross country. His last long trip he took was Vegas to the East Coast. They came to Washington
one
DC.
of these.
Yeah.
Holy
crap.
crap.
Came up to, he had it set up a little different, but he had bags on it and whatnot.
Okay.
But because it wasn't an 8-ball, his was one of the other, but it was the same basic bike.
Yeah.
But yeah, they rode to Washington D.C. with some buddies of his. They came up into Canada, came clear across Canada to Alaska, all the way back to Vegas, and they did it in like less than a month. So he's used to riding on bikes, and let me tell you, he spoke nothing but good things about the Victory. So, and we got guys in our clubs that ride Indians. We got a Ducati guy. We got BMW riders. We got all kinds of stuff, right? And everybody likes their bikes for their own reason, and everybody's like, well, my bike's the best and yours all suck, all right? I'm sure you
Ford,
get that.
Chevy.
Oh, yeah.
Anything,
right, yeah, no
world.
kidding, right? Yeah. So, look, if you want a hot button topic, ask 10 bikers what the best motorcycle is.
Just walk into a bar and go, Harleys suck.
Yeah.
And you'll get some looks.
yeah. If not some things thrown at you.
Quick note, because also another reason going with Victory, I'm kind of a person for the underdog, and Victory being, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, they were the last homegrown American motorcycle company since Harley Indian.
Yeah.
Maybe I could be wrong. I know they were the last one. They unfortunately closed the shop because they were stupid and bought Indian.
Well,
Why would you buy
Indian
a better,
bought them, yeah.
or no, Polaris.
Well, that's
Polaris
true. Yeah.
why would you buy a bigger company and let the one you just create just flounder? Like,
Right.
kind of stupid. Maybe
They
the
said they
Harley
wanted the
guys can talk
factories,
about.
and they wanted the
But so I'm kind of a person for the underdog, and I liked not as many people had them. And I'll tell you this, I'll be in a sea of Harleys, and I'll pull up on either this one or my other one, and people walk right past the Harleys and go, "What kind of bike is that? That's cool." Like,
Yeah.
is that a custom chopper? I've had that numerous times.
No kidding, huh?
And I mean, how many black Harleys are there out there?
Well, and that was my joke too. When I always said for years, if I'm ever going to buy a Harley, I will buy it in any color other than black.
Yeah.
I will
I
not buy
like
a
your
black
color
Harley.
a lot.
I like that's what's really sold me on it, truly. Yeah, and it does ride really good. But that's really and I've said this for years too. Everybody that knows me knows. I've said for years, if Harley does really amazing things with bikes, they make some really dumb decisions too. But
like the electric bike.
yeah, not
We
even.
won't talk
Don't
about
even get me
that.
started on the live bar. But but the other thing that Harley does really well, they know how to paint motorcycles. They really got They know their stuff when it comes to paint.
Our Sergeant Arms. I don't know if you've looked close at his paint job. He's got a Road Glide. It's like two-tone green.
Yeah,
No, it's all green.
It's a
But,
stunning
like,
bike. Yeah.
He has this like pinstriping or something, but the pinstriping is mini little Harley Davidson logos.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's very clever.
Yeah.
I've seen that design on other bikes before.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I
looking.
thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, pretty cool. They do a good job with that. But so it's not about being right or wrong. I don't think necessarily my bike is the best bike, but it's the best for me, and that's all I care about because I'm not riding everybody else's bike. And it's kind of a choose your own ride kind of thing. I don't knock anybody as long as they're riding whatever. If you're on a Aprilia, if you're on a Honda, if you're on a whatever, right? If you're on a Harley or a Victory or an Indian or whatever, doesn't matter as long as you're riding. I don't really care. As long as you're on two wheels, that makes me happy. You know? So that's kind of how I see
I
it.
will do a quick note because we just got done doing a little garage day with our club, changing brake fluids and all that stuff. Sorry, Harley guys. Well, at least the newer ones, like the Kuzi's bike. He had to hook up a computer to it to do
Really?
the brake flush or something. I
No kidding,
couldn't-
really?
I'm
wow.
sitting there, old school, pumping the brake.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
break
yeah.
the bleeder valve.
Right.
And it was done like faster, I think. I mean, and I don't know. I like it. It kind of gives you that feel if you're still working on your bike,
Sure, yeah. No,
nowadays,
it's
like you hook up a computer. What?
Well,
What?
it's like I mentioned I had a Honda VTX once, right? And it was an aluminum head. And this was kind of a funny story. So I was changing the spark plugs out because the plugs are just old, right?
You got it was like a bug.
Oh, hopefully it wasn't
Sorry.
someone's going to buy me. So I had a Honda VTX and I was changing the plugs out, right? And so I stripped, as I was putting the new plug in, I stripped it. And it's an aluminum head. It's like, it was soft like butter putting that plug in. And I stripped it and I'm like, now what am I going to do, right? So I called the Honda dealer, how much is it going to cost? And I said, it's no big deal. It's only going to be like $2,500 to fix that.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to take the whole front end off. And I was like, dang it, And a lot of kudos to people who know how to wrench on bikes. My skill level is like a 3 out of 10. And so, for people who know how to do it, bless you guys, right? So I had a guy that I knew. His name was Manny, and I'll probably tag in the video here. But whenever I had like any major problem mechanical, Manny was my guy, right? He could fix anything. And I'll never forget it. So he's like, I could totally do a time cert in this. We'll get her up and running, no problem. And so, half a day later, he had the bike running again. Nice. But I remember when I was coming out, I'm like, let me get you a beer or something. He's working on my driveway, And I'm like, let me get you a beer. So I come out, and he's pumping, getting gas into the head to kind of just test it and everything. And he's leaning over, he got a cigarette, And I'm like, man, he probably not the, But he was like one of these old school dudes, right? Yeah. And then I'll never forget it. I was like, how much? He literally saved my bike, right? Yeah. And I'm like, how much do you want for the repair? And he's like, I don't know. $40 sound okay? I'm like, Manny, I'm like, I'd be embarrassed if I paid you $40 for all the work you did, So I obviously paid him a lot more because it was worth it, right? Yeah. But people can wrench on bikes, and everything. Motorcycles are no exception. We're starting to see this transition from like your bike, which is modern, but still kind of has that old school, to mine, which is like going to a minivan, right?
So it's to work on it, like it's no fault to the owner either, but to work on it, you got to like take a class in like network engineering and computers. Like,
and cars have gotten that way too. I mean, pop the hood of if you have a car that's built in the last 20 years, pop the hood. It's like almost hard to recognize anything in it anymore.
Not to go off on a huge tangent, that's a big thing that's changed is like I used my first car was a '73 Nova, and I remember I could fix anything in it.
Yeah.
You know, nowadays, like, yes, they are more reliable in a lot of
Sure.
ways, cars, motorcycles, but man, I wouldn't know the first thing to do
Yeah.
going into my current vehicle and fixing it. If it's not an oil change or tires, I just send it in.
Oil changes and tires, yeah, and even tires I don't do on my own, but yeah, let somebody else do it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
taking the tires off, taking them in. I'm not
Sure.
like putting the rubber on. And
Yeah. No, of course, yeah. But I won't even. Look, I'm a big believer. It's like I could spend half a day doing it, but my
Yeah.
time is like just
Exactly,
taking
yeah.
in and like and I trust my own ability to do it right too. So it's like I said, 3 out of 10.
I
So,
just kind of like doing it sometimes. Just
Sure.
I don't know. Have you ever read that book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle?
Yeah. Oh yeah, maintenance. Yeah. Read that years ago. Yeah.
It gives you kind of this, I don't know, understanding of how things work.
Yeah.
It clears your mind, almost like riding the bike.
If you haven't read it, it's a
fun.
great book. I'll put
Yeah.
a link in the video. But yeah, great. God, that book's been around forever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great. Yeah, Zen and the Art
Yeah,
of
you'll
Motorcycle.
hear them talking about tappets.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and oiling the chain. You're like, what? What? There's a
Yeah, my
chain
bike's-
on this thing?
I got a belt drive on mine. Yeah. No kidding, right?
So,
that's
anyways,
fun. Tell
yeah.
us what you ride. We'd love to hear it in the comments. We get a lot of great comments from all of our viewers here. Please leave in the comments. Let us know what you're riding, and if you haven't done so, please like and share and subscribe to the video. It helps our channel out a lot.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but yeah, we'd love to hear what you're riding. Please and don't just tell us what you're riding. Tell us why you're riding.
Yeah.
I think that's more important, right? So why
Don't
do you
just
ride?
be
what you
like,
ride?
Harley suck.
Yeah.
We get some of those type of comments, and we're like,
Yeah.
all right, thanks for
Yeah.
the input.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get a conversation going.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys, 2 wheels up, rubber side down.
Yep.
All
We'll see on the next video. So
Yeah.
yeah.